There comes a moment in life for all of us when the lights go out, when the plan you prayed for crumbles in your hands, when the people you counted on walk away, when the call you waited for never comes. When the thing you wanted so desperately slips right through your fingers, leaving you sitting in a dark, quiet place, asking yourself, what now? Who am I without this? How do I keep going when everything inside me feels broken? If you've ever been there, and I believe most of us have, I want you to know, I see you. I know that ache. I know that hollow, heavy feeling that sits in your chest when you think you've failed. I know what it feels like to wake up in the morning, wondering how you're going to muster the strength to face a world that no longer looks the way you imagined it. But let me also tell you something else I know. I know that dark place is not your end, that hollow ache is not the definition of who you are. It's not your final chapter, it's your turning point. And when you decide to stand up even when your legs are shaking, that is the very moment you begin to build resilience. See, when we talk about failure, most people want to wrap it up quickly. They want to move on, skip over the uncomfortable parts, leap straight to the success story with the shiny bow on top. But the real truth, success has a secret ingredient that no one celebrates enough. It is born from failure. Every mountaintop that's ever been reached was scaled by someone who slipped, who scraped their knees, who fell more times than they could count, but who refused to stay down. I remember standing at many crossroads in my life where the disappointment felt too heavy to carry. Doors that I thought would change everything were slammed so hard in my face. I could still hear the echo long after. There were moments when rejection felt like a personal verdict on my worth, when silence on the other end of a phone line sounded a lot like, "You're not good enough," and yet here I am. Not because I was spared from failure, but because I learned to see failure not as a dead end, but as a detour to something greater. Building resilience doesn't happen in the easy seasons of life. It's in the stretching, the aching, the uncomfortable spaces that we discover who we really are. Resilience is not just bouncing back, it's growing stronger through the very thing that tried to break you. We live in a world obsessed with the highlight reel. Social media shows us perfect snapshots, the award-winning moment, the dream job, the happy family, the seemingly effortless success. But behind every highlight is a backstage of grit, rejection, tears, and nights when giving up felt like the easier option. That part doesn't get filtered or posted, but it's the most important part of the story. What I've come to understand is that failure is not personal, even when it feels that way. It is not the universe conspiring against you. It is the universe inviting you to grow, to evolve, to reach a deeper understanding of yourself and your purpose. Every disappointment carries a lesson, every rejection carries redirection, every fall carries the seeds of your rise. But here's the thing, you have to choose to rise. Resilience is a choice. It doesn't mean you don't cry. It doesn't mean you don't feel the sting of defeat. It means that after you've felt it, after you've honored the pain, you decide to get up anyway. You decide that your story is worth continuing, that your dreams are worth fighting for, even if you have to build them from the ground up all over again. I know this isn't easy, because failure does something sneaky. It doesn't just whisper that you failed at something. It tries to convince you that you are a failure, and that's where we get stuck. That's where shame begins to take root. But let me say this loud and clear to anyone who needs to hear it today. You are not your failure. You are not the missed opportunity, the broken relationship, the lost job, the bad decision. You are the person who can learn, adapt, grow, and emerge wiser and stronger. When I think of resilience, I don't think of never falling. I think of getting back up with new insight, new perspective, and a deeper well of strength. Resilience means standing in front of the mirror and saying, "This didn't go as planned, this hurts, but I'm still here, and as long as I'm still here, the story isn't over." You see, every failure holds a hidden gift if you're willing to look for it. Sometimes failure is life's way of clearing the path for something better, something more aligned with who you are becoming. Sometimes it's the training ground for the next level of your life, the place where you're being prepared for blessings you can't yet see. There is power in the comeback. There is beauty in the rebuild. And the most extraordinary thing, when you go through failure and come out on the other side, you don't just survive, you gain the wisdom to help others through their own dark places. You become a beacon for someone else still struggling to find their way out. Think about the people you admire most in the world, the innovators, the leaders, the visionaries. I promise you, none of them got to where they are without a trail of failures behind them. What sets them apart is not that they avoided falling, it's that they got up each time, often with scraped knees and bruised hearts, and kept moving forward. Resilience is that voice inside that says, not yet, but soon. It's the belief that the next attempt might be the one that works. It's the courage to show up for your life, even when the scoreboard isn't in your favor. It's the willingness to dream again, even after disappointment tried to steal that spark. And let me tell you, there is something profoundly liberating about knowing you can survive what you thought would break you. When you've stood in the ruins of what didn't work and still choose to rebuild, you discover a kind of power that no one can take away from you. We're not here on this earth to play it safe. We're not here to tiptoe around failure, trying to dodge every pitfall. We're here to live fully, to love boldly, to try bravely. And trying bravely means accepting that sometimes we'll fall flat on our faces, but when we do, we don't stay there. We get up, we try again, we move forward. Resilience is about persistence, yes, but it's also about grace. It's about giving yourself permission to be human, to rest, to heal, to gather your strength, and then choosing to rise when you're ready. It's about rewriting the story you tell yourself about who you are and what you're capable of. You are capable of more than you know. There is a depth of strength inside you that only reveals itself when you are tested. And I promise you this, the next version of you, the one who comes after the fall, will be wiser, braver, and more compassionate than you've ever known yourself to be. So when you find yourself in the dark, when failure knocks the wind out of you, when your knees hit the ground, remember, this is not the end. This is the middle of your story. This is the place where resilience is born. And if you just keep going, if you just keep believing in the possibility of more, you will rise. And when you rise, you'll do it not just for yourself, but for everyone who needs to see that it's possible. Because the truth is, failure doesn't define you. What defines you is the courage to rise, the strength to rebuild, the choice to keep going, and that, my friends, is how resilience is made. So here we are standing at the edge of what could be the end, or the beginning, and the difference between the two is the choice you make in this moment. Will you let failure convince you that you're finished, or will you decide that this is simply the place where the next chapter begins? Because I want you to know no. I want you to believe that nothing you've been through is wasted. Not a single tear, not a single heartbreak, not a single no, not a single closed door. All of it is shaping you, refining you, strengthening you. Every disappointment is chiseling away the parts of you that don't serve where you're going, and revealing the unshakable core of who you really are. That is what resilience is, not pretending life is easy, but knowing you are tougher than whatever life throws your way. It's standing up with your scars, your bruises, your stories of struggle and saying, I am still here, I am still becoming, I am not done yet. And isn't that what life is really about, becoming, not arriving, not checking every box, not living some flawless highlight reel, but becoming? A little stronger, a little wiser, a little braver every single day. You may not control when you fall. You may not control who walks away or which door closes, but you absolutely control how you respond. You control whether you stay down or whether you rise, whether you surrender to fear or whether you lean into faith in yourself, faith in the future, faith in what's possible. I'm here to remind you that no matter how far you've fallen, you have what it takes to rise. That no matter how broken things may seem, There is always a way forward, a way through. And when you rise, when you push forward despite the odds, you don't just rebuild your life, you redefine who you are. So I want you to leave this moment with one truth ringing in your spirit. You are not your failure. You are your rise. You are your comeback. You are your resilience, and that is your power.